The cafe had fallen silent. Even the rain outside seemed to hold its breath. Daniel stared down into his half-empty cup, his reflection rippling in the dark coffee. He didn't want to fight. He didn't come here for pity or for pride. He came because this place carried the last piece of his heart, and that chair, that old brown chair, was the only thing left that remembered who he used to be. Mr. Howard, however, couldn't let it go. The power he wore like armor wouldn't allow silence to win. He scoffed, stepping closer to Daniel's table. "You talk like a philosopher, old man. But the world doesn't pay in poetry, it pays in results." Yet Daniel looked up calmly. "And yet, for all your results, you still need to step on others to feel tall." The remark landed harder than a shout. A faint murmur rippled through the cafe. Howard's face tightened. "Do you even know who I am?" he asked, his voice low and sharp. Daniel smiled softly. "No, but I know what you are. A man who forgot what hunger feels like." Before the moment could explode, Thomas, the manager, placed a firm hand on Howard's shoulder. "That's enough, Mr. Reeves." Oh, Howard turned sharply. "Excuse me. You're defending him? This man's probably living off handouts." Thomas's eyes hardened, not in anger, but in quiet disappointment. "You have no idea who you're talking to." Howard smirked. "Oh, I think I do. A drifter, a nobody." The word nobody hit like thunder. Daniel didn't flinch, but Anna did. She set a tray down hard enough to rattle the cups. Thomas took a deep breath. "You see that chair he's sitting in?" he said, nodding toward Daniel. "That's his chair. He sat there on opening day 5 years ago, when this cafe first opened. He wasn't a customer that day, he was the owner." The cafe gasped as if it had heard a secret history. Even the boy with the hot chocolate stopped mid-sip. Howard blinked. "What are you talking about?" Thomas nodded slowly, his voice soft but firm. "Daniel Cole, the man who built Luna's place from the ground up. Every brick, every detail, his design. He sold it to me 2 years ago when his wife got sick. He said he needed the money to buy her time." Howard's jaw loosened. The color in his face drained slightly. Daniel looked down again, running a finger along the rim of his cup. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. Thomas continued quietly, the way one tells a story at a funeral. "He started this cafe with his wife, Lynn. They worked night and day hand in hand. She'd bake the muffins, he'd brew the coffee. They'd sit right there in that corner every night, counting tips and dreaming bigger." As Thomas spoke, Daniel's eyes drifted to the window, and in that reflection, his memory came alive. The scene shifted in his mind 5 years earlier. The cafe glowed with new paint and laughter. Evelyn stood behind the counter, her hair tied up, flower on her cheek, smiling like the sun. Daniel laughed beside her, writing their names together on the first coffee cup sold, D&E Cafe. She had said, "Danny, one day people will come here not for the coffee, but for comfort." And he'd promised her they'd grow old here together. But time didn't keep promises. The memory flickered. Hospital halls, bills stacking like walls around him, a doctor shaking his head, Evelyn's voice whispering, "Don't sell the cafe, Danny, it's our dream." But what's a dream worth when life is slipping away? He sold it to Thomas, us, a good man who offered a fair price, enough to buy treatments, enough to buy hope. But hope too ran out. Evelyn was gone by winter. Daniel was left with only that chair, the sound of rain, and a memory too heavy to carry. The cafe was silent when the story ended. No one looked at Howard. They all looked at Daniel, not with pity, but with something deeper. Respect. Howard swallowed hard. The weight of his earlier words crushed the arrogance in his chest. He looked smaller now, like a man stripped of his title and shine. I didn't know," he muttered. Daniel smiled faintly. "People rarely ask." Howard sat down across from him, his voice quieter now. "Why come here if it hurts that much?" Daniel gazed out the window, where the rain had softened to a drizzle. "Because this place reminds me of her. And because pain is easier to bear when you face it, not when you run from it." Howard looked down, unable to meet his eyes. For the first time, silence in the cafe didn't feel tense, it felt human. Anna walked over and placed another cup before Daniel. Fresh, warm, full. "On the house," she whispered again. Daniel chuckled softly. "You already gave me one." She smiled. "Then let's call this one for her." Daniel's eyes glistened, a quiet tear caught in the corner. "Thank you." Howard exhaled deeply. He began, "I owe you an apology. I spoke without thinking." Daniel shook his head gently. "You spoke exactly what you think. The difference is, now you understand why it hurts." Howard nodded slowly. "You're right.